The desert dawn is already bright when a matte white aircraft shaped like a dragonfly rises straight up from a pad on Dubai's southern outskirts. Its 6 tilting rotors hum at a pitch closer to a household fan than a helicopter. And for a beat or two, the machine hovers, balancing on an invisible cushion of air. Then the props tilt forward, the nose dips, and the craft slips into wing-borne flight, arcing toward the skyscrapers on the hazy horizon. What you're watching is the first public piloted flight of Joby Aviation's all-electric air taxi in Dubai. Flown on the 30th of June 2025, a demonstration that lasted barely 10 minutes, yet effectively kicked off the city's countdown to commercial FTL service in 2026. Joby's prototype covered only a few test miles that morning, but its performance hints at the real-world routes planners have mapped out. Up to 160 kilometers of range and cruise speeds of 320 kilometers per hour, enough to turn a 45-minute traffic-snarled drive from DXB Airport to Palm Jumeirah into a 12-minute hop above the freeway haze. Inside the cabin, a single pilot will eventually sit up front, with 4 paying passengers behind, belted into wide panoramic seats beneath a skylight that takes up most of the roof. Joby's engineers have tuned the acoustic footprint so that interior conversation should stay at normal speaking volume. Even early riders in 2026 will be encouraged to keep their phones rolling. During vertical climb, from handshake to hover, the flight was the most visible milestone of a partnership announced at the World Government's Summit back on the 11th of February 2024, when Joby signed a definitive agreement with Dubai's Roads and Transport Authority. The deal grants 6 years of exclusivity for air taxi operations once commercial service begins, and folds in financial and regulatory support from the Emirate. Almost immediately, Joby and infrastructure partner Skyport set about designing a quartet of vertiports at Dubai International Airport, Palm Jumeirah, downtown Dubai, and Dubai Marina so that visiting tourists and commuting executives alike could string together point-to-point aerial hops. By November 2024, the first vertiport at DXB was under construction, complete with 2 charging stands built around Joby's own GEACS rapid charge interface. A passenger's eye view in 2026. Picture yourself 2 summers from now. You've booked a 910 air taxi via the RTA's Sky Dubai app, essentially Uber-S interface grafted onto an airline-S boarding pass. At 8:55, your phone pings. Time to proceed through the vertiport's biometric gate. There are no metal detectors. A millimeter wave scanner sweeps you as you walk, and any cabin-sized bag is X-rayed in seconds. A host gestures you toward the glass-walled lounge, where departure boards cycle through 3 destinations: DXB, Palm, and Marina. Final battery check shows 96% state of, charge enough for 2 round trips, providing cushion against Gulf Coast thermals. When the doors slide open, you climb a short gangway to the pad. The aircraft's carbon composite fuselage sits waist-high. You step inside, buckle a 4-point harness, stow your phone in a wireless charging nook, and pull on a noise-attenuating headset that doubles as an intercom. The pilot calls doors and hatches secure at DSB and GCAA clearance blink green. And with a rising electrical whir, the craft lifts vertically to 400 feet before banking seaward. Through wraparound windows, Dubai's skyline appears as a silver diagram. Burj Khalifa's Needle, the Museum of the Future's Taurus, container ships queued at Jebel Ali. 9 minutes later, you're descending onto Palm Jumeirah's crescent, the rotors tilting upward for a featherlight touchdown. Ground to ground, including boarding, the trip has taken just under 12 minutes. What the test flight proved? Aviation insiders cared less about the short hop, scenery, than the seamless transition from vertical lift to wing-borne cruise and back again, all flown by a human pilot rather than remote control. According to Joby engineers on site, transition noise measured below 65 dBA at 500 meters, roughly the level of a vacuum cleaner heard from across a room, crucial for winning over residents in densely built coastal districts. The sortie also tested Dubai's nascent low-altitude air traffic corridors. Each eVTOL broadcasts position data to an RTA-managed UAM cloud, which blends drone, helicopter, and air taxi routes into a 3D picture air traffic controllers can read at a glance. Pricing the sky, Joby admits the first year's fares will skew premium, Internal models floated during the agreement. Signing put an inaugural DX-B2 Palm ticket in the AED 350 to 500 range. It's comparable to a business-class limo, but half the cost of chartering a helicopter. Over time, executives argue, higher fleet utilization and cheaper battery packs pull that figure toward AED 150. Competitive with Dubai's black-roof Tesla taxis during rush hour, whether residents will embrace sky commuting or stick to the metro depends on convenience. Joby is betting that a truly frictionless vertiport experience, plus inevitable influencer buzz, will tip the scales. The regulatory runway Dubai's Roads and Transport Authority handles customer-facing operations. But the General Civil Aviation Authority is the certifying gatekeeper. Its rulebook piggybacks on FAA Part 135 standards and adds desert climate stress tests, battery thermal runaway cases at 50 degrees Celsius, rotor wash dust modeling, and hot high humid abort scenarios. Joby must also secure a UAE Air Operator Certificate process now in motion after the June flights. Officials have hinted that by Q4 2025, they'll issue a provisional permit allowing limited-hour passenger trials, much like the early adopter programs Volocopter ran in 2023. Competition over Hijabi. 6-year exclusivity blocks rivals from launching scheduled services, but it doesn't keep them from demonstrating tech. Germany's Lilium has courted Abu Dhabi, and Brazil's EV is courting Ras Al Khaimah for regional tour routes. Yet analysts say Job's heads start in manufacturing capacity. A three-pronged revenue model, and now Dubai's brand, Halo makes it the eVTOL to beat. The company, however, isn't immune to aerospace mood swings. Morgan Stanley trimmed its price target in April over supply chain jitters and tariff worries, reminding investors that mass-producing tiltrotor batteries at automotive scale is still a logistical moonshot. The marina site will cantilever over the water near Pier 7, while downtown's pad aligns with the DIFC tram loop. Beyond the gee-whiz factor, planners see vertiports as pins stitching together Dubai's fragmented waterfront. DXB's hub links directly to Metro's Emirates Station 2. Architects call the design high-throughput hospitality. Each 3-story terminal funnels passengers from curb to gate in under 3 minutes. With double-height lounges, fast-charge stands flush to the floor, and facade-wide glazing that turns every takeoff into a mini-spectacle. Each pad carries 2 charging bays to hit 80% charge in sub-10 minutes. Made possible by liquid-cooled battery packs and Dubai's grid-tie solar offset scheme. Climate math and quiet skies. A single Joby hop consumes roughly 28 kilowatt-hours, about what a mid-range EV uses, driving 120 kilometers yet replaces. A combustion engine taxi that would spew 28 kilograms of CO on the same DXB Palm route. Multiply that by 120 flights a day across 4 pads and the eVTOL fleet could offset over 1,000 tons of CO annually, not counting grid decarbonization. Noise is harder to quantify, but early modeling suggests felt loudness will be 4 to 5 decibels lower than the lightest certified Eurocopter under identical flight paths. If the numbers hold, Dubai residents may barely register the aircraft over the murmur of Sheikh Zayed Road. Hurdles on the horizon. Even so, 3 variables loom. Thermal management in 50 degrees Celsius desert summers, sand ingestion into rotor hub bearings, and air traffic microbursts triggered by Gulf sea breezes. Engineers are trialing ceramic-coated stator vents and redundant liquid cooling. While the RTA-SUAM cloud will integrate Doppler LiDAR to spot gust fronts minutes before they hit the flight, but the marketing team privately concedes that cabin crew reassurance may matter more than path. Finally, the customer experience wildcard. Will business travelers accept pilotless flights once autonomy phases in after 2030, or insist on a human in the loop? Joby's contract permits remote supervised ops once reliability data clears the regulatory bar. It reframes the distance between airport and beach, conference and desert safari, resident and tourist. Algorithmic proofs. A new postcard angle. Dubai's skyline has long sold an image of tomorrow. Man-made islands, police hover bikes, 500-meter towers piercing the marine haze. An EFTL buzzing silently between them isn't just another gadget. When the first paying passenger steps out onto DXB's vertiport pad in early 2026, the experiment will move from spectacle to daily option, a commute rewired in 3 dimensions. Vertiport by vertiport, to the day the city's skyways open. Cabin quiet enough to hear your own breath. Traffic frozen on highways below while you glide toward the palms. And if the launch stays on schedule, travelers landing for the 2026 World Future Energy Summit might shoot the now iconic 12-minute route TikTok before their checked baggage even spins onto the carousel. So the next time you picture Dubai, imagine looking down from 100 meters crescent. That serene humming window on the future started ticking the moment Joby's prototype lifted off in June 2025, and it's counting down for everyone.